Hi everyone, here we are with our next lesson, and we're going to move on from square roots a little bit. It's a related idea, but real quick, this is what we were doing on the last assignment. Just to review, we did squaring. 3 squared, 3 times 3. That's just 3 squared written differently. That's the word, that's the exponent. And we get 9. This is what 3 squared looks like. It's a square. Then we went in reverse. The square root of 9 is 3 because 3 times 3 is 9. That was a review of something I thought you might have been familiar with, but I wanted to start from the beginning. Now today we're going to move into something called cubes and cube roots. It's similar, but a little different. So here, instead of squaring 3, I would do 3 cubed, which is 3 times 3 times 3. And that's 3 to the third power. It's not 9, everyone. We don't multiply these two things. It's 27. And I did my best to draw that. If I ask you how many cubes, little cubes, were in that shape, individual cubes, the answer is 27. It's like a Rubik's Cube, if you're familiar with that. So, in reverse, we do something called the cube root, not the square root. And it looks like this. That little 3 sits there. It's always there. And I'll show you in other examples. But the answer to the cube is how we read this. The cube root of 27 is 3, because 3 times 3 times 3, or 3 cubed, is 27. Okay, so I have some things, it's all worked out. I don't really have to write very much today. So this is where we were, again, squaring. Right, 11 squared is 121. The square root of 121 is 11. Here we are today with cubes. The 2 cubed is 8. 2 times 2 times 2. And the cube root of 8 is 2. We're going to talk about a calculator in a minute. If you're looking at this going, I don't know what to do for these. I don't know those answers. I will show you. Okay, so just want to go over, zoom in a little, some of the basics first. You know, how to read it and what it means. Okay, so I answered all these. The cube root of 1 is 1 because 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And they're all working the same way. The cube root of 125 is 5 because 5 cubed is 125. And if you multiply it out, 5 times 5 times 5, you would get 125. So, that's essentially the idea of a cube root. Now, these are examples that are all worked out. Don't panic when you see a fraction today. I'll tell you how to deal with this. Now this is square root. This is last assignment. I don't think we saw anything like this, but if you got a fraction, just do like 2 separate problems. Square root of 81 is 9. Square root of 225 is 15. And I just simplified the fraction. Okay, now today we're going to see cube roots of fractions. You would just do the cube root of 64 is 4. Cube root of 216 is 6. And again, I simplified the fraction. So here are some examples. This is more like what the homework will look like. Now, I already answered them because there's no work for me to show everybody. You're going to put this in a calculator, and I want you to learn how to use it. Okay, so, and I'm going to show you some of that in a second. The cube root of 125 is 5 because 5 to the third power is 125. It works forward, backwards. And same here. 8 times 8 times 8 is 512. I'm not expecting you to just have known that. Same here. Oh, come on. No one's going to, well, I shouldn't say no one, but me and most people aren't just going to look at that and know the answer. You have to put it into some kind of device. Okay, remember these? Now, I realize you might not have that, and we're about to get to that. So these are just some examples I worked out. Again, with the fractions, they're all the same, basically. You do the same thing. Cube root of 27, 3. Cube root of 343, 7. You can do it in 2 parts. So the fraction's really not any harder. You're just doing 2 for the price of 1. Okay, and you'll also be asked to cube numbers. Well, 9 cubed, 9 times 9 times 9. Okay, don't say 27. Don't multiply these two. I'll remind you that again when I show you the homework. Look how big these answers get, everyone. 17 to the third power, 4,913. Exponents make numbers grow very quickly. Okay, don't worry about the stuff at the bottom of the paper. That's another day. So let's talk about the calculator. If you have a school calculator, These are the two buttons you press to get the square root sign. You can go back and replay that and write it down. For the cube root, you press these three buttons in that order. It's just good old 3. That puts that 3 right there. Because you could do 4th root, 5th root, 6th root, whatever. Now, if you don't have a school calculator, go ahead and Google online scientific calculator. Something will come up. They're all different. If you're wondering, well, how do I know which one to use? What am I going to do? Well, just go back. Put in 27. See how you get 3 out of it. You'll figure it out. Okay? Same. You could work with 216 until you get a 6. There will be different sequences of the buttons. Okay, but you can use a calculator. So this is what the assignment looks like. It's squares and cubes. You have to pay attention. So don't square them all, don't cube them all. I'll zoom in a little. So this first problem, I did a couple for you. 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. You don't even have to write all this stuff out. I'm just showing you. 6 to the third power, 6 times 6 times 6, 216. Please do not just go 4 times 2 is 8, 6 times 3 is 18. Do not multiply the base and the exponent. That's a very common mistake, and that's a huge mistake. Okay, these are not just, interesting looking, different way to write 20 times 2. This is not 20 times 2. It's 20 times 20. Okay, the second and third section. For this section, you will do square root. We already did that. We're just reviewing it. And you can see I did the first one. So pretend all these numbers have the square root sign over them. See the directions. Write the square root. Okay, enough about that because it's review. This is the newer part down here. Find the cube root. The answer is 5 because 5 to the third power is 125. See how it goes backwards? So get hold of a calculator that does cube roots and square roots, and you should be able to complete this. All right, I think that's it. Then if you have any questions, let me know.